Yeah, I want to get on to a couple things about basically where I'm coming from and some of my background and basically my philosophy on some things because I'm actually putting some of this stuff out as a favor to people because I'm used to getting more fees for stuff than just Google AdSense, that's for sure. But I actually kind of like doing the mechanical videos in some ways too because I realize it helps people. But when I think, let me get on to this. First off, about gold and silver, real fast. I have a lot more respect for Mark Farber because he reads personalities. He doesn't just look at the numbers. And one thing he says that I picked up on that I put a lot of emphasis on, as long as Ben Bernanke's in charge or somebody like him, which there's even more people that are more QE orientated than Ben Bernanke that are behind him, the tendency is you want to be in gold and fiat currencies are going down. It's a very simple type of thing. I know it's simple, right? People tend to get sold on charts and stuff. I'm not knocking them. You know what? I'm not somebody who was into the investing as far as stocks, but as far as presenting things to banks or looking at things that are being sold to big buyers and examining the numbers, or having to present something in a certain way that's favorable as possible to a bank or an investor. I've done plenty of that work. I'll just even point out, I did a lot of work with, he's deceased now, Jim Pugash. He actually died of pancreatic cancer. I think it was around age 52 or 53. Very bright individual. And I had to do a hell of a lot of reports for that guy. And he's very high pressure. As a matter of fact, he was, believe it, he's of Russian descent. He was Harvard, Yale, and had degrees from Harvard and Yale, and he was a Rhodes Scholar, all wrapped up in one, yet very aggressive. So, but a lot of the ways the funding happened was you had to present things to other people and get them to bite. So I'm very familiar with this game. You see, my background is very different from, say, Raw Dog, but I understand in essence, I know what he's saying. But my background is totally different. Totally different. Not that I'm some kind of super genius or anything, but even if I was picking out my IQ test from way back, it was like 139, and I had the highest 1 percentiles of mathematics and stuff, and I was going to school, so not really dumb, but I talk it because I'm totally disgusted with a lot of the professionals. I hate them. God, they're bullshit. Well, it's like this. I'm going to give you an analogy real quick. And I went on and talked about the Beck protocol when using microelectricity, which can pretty much, it's patented, it's proven technology that proved in the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, New York City, that it will cause all viri, pathogens, bacteria, and this is related to what I'm saying, pathogens, bacteria, and fungi, not to infect new healthy cells. But it's so damn simple. It's like if a simple answer is staring you right in the face, somebody wants to go to something more complicated. It's like this. This is where I get mad at the professionals. This is kind of like me talking from the cuff, but I'm gonna get. The thing is, I know shit. Believe me. And I don't want you to get impressed with some bullshit numbers I could throw out there. I want you to think common sense. But say for instance, somebody was presented the problem. How do you put a giraffe, the animal with the big long neck that comes from Africa, how do you put a giraffe in a refrigerator? You know what? If you showed that to a bunch of engineers, they'd be going around scratching their heads, scratching their asses, coming up with all these equations and shit. You know what? This is like something I might say in a meeting, and it would piss them off. I'd say, you know what you do? You open up the door and you put the giraffe inside the refrigerator. Right? Then they follow it up with an argument like, well, how do you put an elephant in a refrigerator? Because it's bigger, right? You take the giraffe out of the refrigerator, after you open up the door. Then you put the elephant in the refrigerator. You see, it's too simple. It works with health, too. Doctors, if you put this big apparatus in the back, if they had that little battery-operated Beck protocol, if they made this big machine in the back and it could charge you $4,000 an hour to use the thing, whereas it cost me pennies, I'd use this thing every day. We see what I mean? See what I mean? And a lot of very successful people think simple. Actually, Mark Farber thinks simple. I'm going to point out one other thing I think he said. He maybe slipped up when he said this about a year ago, more than a year ago. But I picked up on it big time because I'm very much attuned to the Jewish businessmen. They're very aggressive. So you know, one guy pretty much worked for, but he's well. I'm going to tell you this. You know, we sold. You know, a lot of pension funds were, you know, investing their money in real estate, right? And you know what happened there. But it was sold, right? It was sold. So, you know, I realized at one point in time, precious metals aren't going to be the thing to be in, and you know, that's really my beef with some of the people because they're going to tell you to hold forever. So, trying to warn people in a very common sense way. Okay, that's where I'm coming from. I'm going to show a couple charts here, some numbers or some shit of a mine. So if you get an idea what goes on with them, it's a project I was involved in. And pretty soon I'm going to do that. But I'm going to say this before I get into that. Something Mark Farber said. I said this before, but I don't know. It was a while ago. And I actually saw this in one of his long interviews. It was only a 1 minute or less than a minute he actually mentioned this. But he said many of his very good friends that are Jewish, that are very successful in business, he says, you know, he noticed, and this is what actually probably caused him to buy more gold himself. He noticed a lot of them, well, pretty much all of them, were more than 25% invested in precious metals or the mining stocks thereof. And actually, many of them were over 50% invested in precious metals or the mining stocks thereof or related industries. So, you know, I picked up on that, and you know what? It's just like the same reason I feel very safe and secure with silver and gold because, you know, Soros bought more. You know, you can hate him, but hey, the guy's not stupid. Paulson bought more. Rogers, yeah, he'll talk like he'll buy more if it really crashes. He's not going to buy, but he's not selling it, you know. And you know, with of course Faber's keeping it, and he's actually got more some months ago. So sometimes people don't want to hear the simple answer because they think there must be more to it. There isn't more to it. Okay? You see, these guys are throwing out. I get me mad sometimes, man, because I know better. You know, it's like, well, let me put it this way. It's just like part of some garbage I was working on. So I mean, you know, impress you with freaking numbers. But I'll tell you a couple of tricks, a couple little details. This is about a major mine over in the Southwest. Okay. Now, one thing, when you're setting these up, you'll set up like a pro forma, you know, where it has every year, you know, this is what you expect to happen and all this type of stuff. You see this pink line here? Hopefully you could see that. Contingency Fund. If I can make this bigger. Well, it should be easy to do. Wrong one. Using a laptop, so... Anyway, the Contingency Fund, this isn't always a lovely fund because I always tell people, because I know better, you want to draw out of this puppy. And you notice it's $25 million, right? That's where you really want to get some damn money out of. That's where you want to pull your money out of. In other words, when you have a contingency like this, you could draw your profit before you even realize it. You know? So that's what you want to do. So once this is set up to the bank on a budget, you could pull money out of here for various administration expenses and things like that. That's what you want to do. Now, something else in the mining industry, you'll notice fuel diesel is a very, very energy intensive type of venture. Fuel diesel, major. So in other words, you're talking, I don't know, what is that, about 30% of the operating cost is going to be for fuel. So one thing that you'll notice is if oil goes up, right, there's a very, very high correlation between the metals and oil, crude oil prices. That's one reason I'm kind of voting for oil to go up. And one reason I know that if there's a war in the Middle East, it's not only going to drive up oil prices. This is a very simple thing. It's going to drive up gold because due to tensions, but it's going to drive up all the mining commodities, all the stuff that comes out of the ground because of this. This is a fact. This is year one, but actually when you get up there, the fuel costs are like a large percentage of the operating budget, very large percentage. So what happens is, as oil goes up, all the prices of all the commodities will increase. It's a shame, but what war is actually what is going to make people have their silver go way up. War in the Middle East. That is where I miscalculated. I was thinking that the war possibly was going to happen at the end of the spring or later spring of 2012. If that happened, we would see much, much higher silver prices today. That's a wild card. I don't know when the hell that's going to happen. It's like it seems like it's soon. It seems like it's soon. It's been going on so damn long. But that's what's really going to drive up your silver prices more than anything. And it's going to protect the dollar from crashing as fast. Because what happens is, as oil goes up, that soaks up, the amount of dollars needed that people need to be holding on reserve to trade oil between nations. Okay? And, this is like $1 billion loan amortization, It's like, there's a lot of, I could throw up gazillions of tons of data on shit. But, I realize what it is. It's a sales pitch. It's a sales pitch. I can make something look like a bad investment or a good investment. Depends on what my mission was tasked to be. But it's like you have to really think common sense, business sense, or whatever. I know it's not a very good thing, but sometimes, like, I have to go back to the original example. If something's too simple and the answer is like too easy, people tend to like say, "Oh, that can't be it." It's like that's what the average person does. And you know what? Think about it very carefully. How the hell did we get in this situation where we got away from using like cannabis as a medicine? Because somebody out there showed you all these tests with pharmaceuticals. They showed you all these different things. We had double-blind study that this pharmaceutical did this and this and that, and we're advanced now. You can grow cannabis. If somebody like the medicine man went up to you and said, take some dandelion root, wrap your injury on your leg with some dandelion root, most people would say, gee, that sounds like stupid, But the guy might be 100 times more correct than the best professionals out there with all their medicines. See, this is why I can't stand professionals. Sometimes the answer is that simple. Like, how do you put the giraffe in the refrigerator? Like they're scratching their heads. Oh, we got to come up with these charts. We got to come up with all this. I'm not knocking the charts. I'm telling you, I'm actually a person that was way into it. I have a very, very different background than a lot of people on YouTube. I do. But like I said, I could make an investment look bad or good. Depends on, if we want to chew them down on the price, or if we want to get some money, the loan. Then you draw the contingency out, man. That's what that contingency is for. You get your profit ahead of time, and you bury it in the ground. Anyway, but that's what I'm saying. That's my whole I don't know. Some people maybe get mad at me or something. I don't know. Whatever. But you got to look at simple things sometimes, and this is a very good way to look at it. Also, I could show you a good example with the real estate market. What happened? I don't give a damn how many degrees and how many initials they had after their name. How many people actually called it when the crash happened? No, hardly any of them. The best in the business got screwed up. They got upside down on loans. The best. The ones with all the knowledge, all the, brokerage degrees and whatever they had. How many years in business? The environment changed. That's what's going to happen someday, not now, okay? I know right now it's looking like a bad deal with precious metals, but they're going up. Hey, I'll call it the devil's sense. I'm the demon that made these jerks so much money, and I'm a little resentful of that. I'm not resentful against anybody on YouTube, but you know, I made these guys a lot of money by using my own devil sense, and a lot of times when they didn't listen to me, a lot of times they got screwed up. So I'm telling you right now, I'm sticking with the precious metals all the way. So, but there's going to be a time to sell, and if you actually looked. This is where, you know, I gotta laugh about this, but if I look back on YouTube when everybody was screaming at their top of the lungs, we got them on the run, the banksters are going down, that was the time you should have sold, right? God, I mean, hey, what can I tell you, right? What can I tell you? So I'm kind of shooting from the hip here, too, again. But just remember, sometimes when somebody tells somebody something too simple, they tend not to listen. I mean, that's how we got in this whole predicament going to fiat cash, too, right? How do you think they sold the Federal Reserve? Oh, we got all these things. Oh, when the economy goes down, look what happens with the graph. And the economy goes up, we can, you know, shrink the money supply a little bit. That's why we need to manage it. That's why we need to manage it now. Same thing with everything. So I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying use your common sense a lot. Really, really. These guys are freaking screwing us up left and right. So that's just my method, okay? I mean, sometimes the answer is too simple, and you're like, "That's all there can be." Well, that's it. Sorry, okay?